Alright, how's it going everyone? King Blacktooth here, I hope you're all doing well today. So this is a continuation of the previous video where I analysed all the new Skellige cards, and this one is all about the new Skellige cards. And we're going to go over one or two of the old ones that you may have already seen, like the leader ability, Crash and Cray, because it's going to be interesting to see how that works into the deck as a whole, if it does. So first off, we've got the leader ability, Crash and Cray. This got changed quite heavily from the Witcher 3, which is sad actually, because it's turned into a bit of a generic one. You use it once and it spawns and plays 2 Crate clansmen. Now we don't know what Crate clansmen are, so hopefully it could be interesting in that sort of way. However, the previous one in The Witcher 3 used to shuffle all the cards from each player's graveyard back into their decks, which allowed for some really cool muster abilities and getting rid of Medica things that the opponent could use. That might be a bit strong here. I think the Skellige deck is very much based around pulling things out of the graveyard, and you'll see why later. So it's just a spawn and play 2 Crate clansmen. We don't know what they are, so that's it. Okay, next card we have the Priestess of Frieda. It's a 0 strength troop card for Skellige. It goes on the siege and it's got the medic ability. Its medic ability is the usual medic ability. It just takes one card that's a non-hero out of your graveyard and plays it instantly. Again, it's on the siege. We'll have to see how many other types of siege units we have. But again, this card is going to do well to protect against Epidemic, because when you place it down, it does its medic ability and then it's a useless card, so it will protect from the back. And you can use it well with mushrooms. We'll have to see if all the sieges are really good low cards, then it would be very effective for mushrooms to be part of your game plan. But we'll have to see those later. So a card which is decent, and like I said, so I imagine there's going to be about 3 of these. And because I think Skellige is going to get pulled out of the graveyard a lot and it's really beneficial to them, these are probably going to be quite integral to your overarching strategy. So the next card is very similar to one that Monster's got, and I'm really happy. I am really happy that this is Skellige only. It makes a lot of sense, because then it doesn't obsolete any other cards. Skellige Storm. It's a special card, and it can be placed on ranged or siege, and it effectively lets you choose an impenetrable fog or torrential rain at will when you play it. So for Skellige, it will make torrential rain and impenetrable fog obsolete, but Skellige is the only one that gets this. Monster get the White Frost, which lets them choose Biting Frost or Fog, and we know for Monster that's really effective. They've got a lot of Frost Walkers and Frostbound units, and they've got a lot of Fogbound and Fogbound Fog Walker units, so it's really effective for Monster. So I'm hoping this is really good for Skellige, and I'm really glad that it's specific to Skellige, so it doesn't make it obsolete for make those 2 cards obsolete for the rest of the game, really. So other classes might have, the only one we haven't seen so far is Biting Frost and Torrential Rain. There's 2 different choice cards, and maybe, because there's 4 decks, we might see something like a Clear Weather and a Scorch, or a Clear Weather and a Biting Frost, that type of thing. But we'll see. So really nice card. We'll have to see how it's useful. We've seen 1 siege so far that wouldn't get affected by this because it's the healer. The next card we've got is Frieda. She is a 2 strength character and is ranged. She's also another medic person, but a medic person with a bit of a twist. And you'll see how this works into the Skellige strategy of pulling things out of the graveyard a lot. So Frieda is a normal medic, pulls a card out of the graveyard, which is fine. But then this particular card, Frieda, increases its strength by +1 anytime anyone takes a card out of a graveyard. So the more cards you pull out of the graveyard, the more strength she gets. Now, the question is, right, if you were fighting Skellige, like we saw last game, they've got Dol, Blothlan and Marksman, they've got Blue Mountain Commandos, which actually muster from the graveyard. So if you get one person, say if you medic out 1 Dol, Blothlan and Marksman, and they all get mustered from the graveyard, I imagine she's going to go up 3 strength for that, and that's going to be so powerful if they pull out the commandos as well. That's 6 strength extra on her. 1 strength does seem quite low, but that's just like 1 turn that the opponent did. You might be pulling things out. We'll see more cards where it's really effective. But so the Frieda card on the passive ability actually says increase its strength by +1. So that could mean that it's the card that you're resurrecting, that you're medicing out, that gets the +1. If that's the case, it opens up a huge world of interesting combo ability in that respect. So for example, if you bring out a bonded ability, let's say you bring out a 3 strength bonded ability, when that gets +1, it actually gets +2. If the +1 goes underneath the bond, much like Inspire, any morale boost Inspires go underneath bonds. If it goes underneath the bond, then it will change from 3, which would get bonded to 6. It would bump it up to 4, and then it will get bonded to 8. So it actually gets 2 if you have a bonded ability in use at the moment. So if you can actually combo a use with it. So that's really good. And then you know how quickly it can start getting +1 from Frieda, in which case, like if you muster out something from the graveyard, suddenly it's +1, +1, +1, you know, and then your opponent brings some out, it's +1. So that's already 4 strength I just mentioned from 2 plays. And for bonded ability, that will give it +8 for every time it gets bonded with somebody, which is loads. So really interesting mechanic there. I can't wait to see what that does. You can see some ideas how this would be a card where you'd want to play her as the first medic you ever play, so that everyone else starts to get some good buffs, or she gets some good buffs from everyone else's ability to use it. So you want to play her quite quickly if you can help it. Very interesting card. So the next card we've got is the Blueboy Lugosi. Now he's got a bit of a buff since last game, because last game he was in Witcher 3, he was terrible. It's a 4 strength character card, not bad. He's a siege, so he is 4 strength, so Commander's Horns and Mushrooms are equal. Obviously we've got the 1 siege unit, Priestess of Freya, which would benefit from mushrooms, and Frieda would also benefit from mushrooms. So far, we're looking at very mushroom heavy so far. And he's got the summon ability. He summons a whale. This is the Whale of the Cave of Dreams. Okay? And what this does is the whale has the ability to switch row after, it says after each turn, but I'm pretty sure it's after the person who owns the card's turn, I think. So I believe, because the rest of the description says that it reduces the strength of any non-hero units on its row by -2. Okay, so what I think it does is he summons a whale that gets placed on the opponent's side of the board, and it switches row every time it's the opponent's turn, and minuses that row by -2. A very powerful ability there, very nice. So we do actually have the whale to show you. The Whale of the Cave of Dreams is here. He's a 0 strength character card. However, because Blueboy Lugosi's ability is a summon spell, it's a summon ability, a spawn, then you don't actually have to put the Whale of the Cave of Dreams in your deck. So it's a character card, but it's not really something that you put in your deck. And it can be placed on melee, ranged, and siege because it can move between them at will. And it moves to a random row at the start of the opponent's turn. There you go, that's what it says. And it's -2 to all units on the opponent's row. It doesn't actually say that it is disloyal, but I think it's pretty obvious that it's going to be, otherwise it's completely stupid. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing, and it only takes 1 character slot, which is really nice. The thing is, they could probably decoy the whale and place it on your row, so you do have to be careful about the whale in that respect. And the whale is really good for like bringing things down into epidemic range, down into cull range. It could really reduce some people. It's 0 strength, so you're not giving the opponent any strength, which is really nice. And since it goes to row, I guess the strength is, sometimes it's going to be on good rows, sometimes it's not going to be on bad rows. The real question is, when someone passes, say if I had 48 strength and you had 50, I put him down, you go to, let's say, 46 strength. I pass, and then it's your turn, it switches to a different row, and now you have 50 strength again. And, you know, how do you win? Because your strength is variable and it's taking 2 down because you might have more units on 1 row. So there's a bit of a weird, interesting thing that's going to happen there, which adds a bit of random luck based on when you pass, which is a bit weird, isn't it? Okay, nice. There's other cards like that, and we'll get onto those in different videos because that's good though. I like it. Another siege unit, really nice. The next card we have is the Clan Tordarosh Armorsmith, and it's the 4 strength troop card. So 4 strength again is very mushroom or Commander's Horns. Obviously, if you've got any like inspire morale boost people, then it's going to bump it up into Commander's Horn range. But it's also another siege, so far we're getting a nice lot of support level siege units, which are really good with mushrooms. And it has the actually has the inspire ability on it, so this will bump up the previous one, Blueboy Lugosi. It will bump up Frieda into 4, so Commander's Horn is just as useful. So you can start to see how there's a lot of siege, and maybe if you get this guy, it's really worth going a bit Commander's Horn, but mushrooms are still fairly relevant. Pretty decent card. He's got one that's very similar to him, and that's the Tordero Shieldsmith. He's a melee version of that card, so 4 strength troop. He's a melee. We haven't seen too many melee cards yet. There are some that's about to come up very shortly, so he can inspire them with +2 strength, which is really nice. So let's go on to the first hero card that we can see is Ceres. She's back, ladies and gentlemen. 6 strength. She's a ranged unit, however, she is a hero, but she musters all the Queen's Guard back from the deck, hand, and graveyard. So she has a graveyard mustering ability. So you place her down, and effectively you get all the Queen's Guard. Don't know how many there are. I think there's 3, because that's how many was in Witcher 3, and we've seen 3 different artworks for them so far. So we can't really analyze this card until we look at Queen's Guard. So let's do that. The Queen's Guard got a bit of a nerf, actually. 4 strength troop card. Melee, so really good with the Shieldsmith that I just discussed, and they have a muster ability as well. So when you place one of these cards, it plays every other Queen's Guard, every card of this copy of this card in your deck or hand. Okay, so you place down the Queen's Guard and it will play all versions of the Queen Guard. Now what's really noticeable here is she's only 4 strength. They're not bonded, so they're not going to get buffed to like I think it was 4, 8, 12 each, so you're not going to get 36 strength from anymore like you did in Witcher 3, but they're 4 strength, so again mushrooms are effective unless you morale boost them or inspire them, then Commander's Horn starts to take more of effect, but mushrooms is a more defensive one because you are going to be safer from weather effects in that sort of case. The interesting thing, I don't know if you've noticed it, is that Ceres musters them from the graveyard, so if you had Ceres and a Queen's Guard in your hand, so you got one of both, you can actually use 2 turns and double the effectiveness of these cards. If you have a Ceres and a Queen's Guard, if you place the Queen's Guard, then all the Queen's Guard go onto the board, and you still get Ceres. Ceres does not get summoned, because it's like a hierarchy system, like we had with the Arakas in The Witcher 3. And then next turn, they all go into the graveyard, right, or they get scorched or something. Then you play Ceres, and they'll all come back out from the graveyard. So a really good double use where you can waste 2 turns and get double effectiveness, and it's probably going to be quite important to do this. So it's a muster ability that really isn't much risk involved unless you get 2 or 3 Queen's Guard. So it's really good. This Frieda lady, she's going to start getting +1, +1, +1. So it's going to be very, very dangerous. I really like that, but again, it's not much strength from the Queen's Guard. You're going to get, if you place Ceres down, you're going to get 6, 10, 14, 18 strength, which isn't too much, but you can bump that up with mushrooms and other things. So far, it's looking like we really want to pull things out of the graveyard and get some really nice weather effects and possibly mushrooms and other Commander's Horns on the board. It's easy for them to do weather effects since we've got Skellige Storm. Really nice. Okay, so this is one of the main ones, which you will see why we really want to use medic ability a lot. So it's the Clan and Cray Warrior. Again, these have been changed. They used to be bonded, so there used to be 2 of them and you put them together and you get 12 strength because it goes 6 to 12, and I think there might have been a 3rd one as well. It's a melee troop, so again it will benefit a little bit more from Commander's Horn than it would from mushrooms, and its effect really benefits from Commander's Horn, and you'll see why. It's got the Empower ability, which I haven't done a video on yet, but there's different types of Empower, okay, from loads of different like subsets, but this one has the Revenge one. So basically it's 6 strength unit, and you increase the strength by +6 every time this card is brought out of the graveyard and played onto the board. Okay, so you play it, say they scorch it, it goes to the graveyard, you medic it back out, and it's now 12 strength. And we've got video evidence where it's gone up to 18. It's clearly see 6 strength is a lot. So if you can get up to 12 and 18, Commander's Horn is going to blow it so high. But obviously it's scorchable. You need to be very careful of that. There are a couple of cards which can pull special cards out of the graveyard now, or out of your deck, so you've got to be super careful, and maybe, you know, start building it up slowly, protect it, try and break the Scorchers before you go in with this card. And don't forget, every time you start medicing this guy out, this Frieda lady, she's going to start getting +1, +1, +1, so it's going to be very, very dangerous. So the next card we have is a Clan Demon Pirate Captain, 6 strength troop card again, and he is a siege again. It's a little bit more effective with Commander's Horn, but his ability here, you can sort of, let me just explain this. So his ability icon is a shield with some rain. Now it may have been changed to be the Empower that we just spoke of. Its description in the Gwent database is to increase its strength by +6 every time it gets pulled out of the graveyard, which is Empower Revenge. But that's not what the icon is, so I'm going to go by what the icon is. And his icon, the shield with the rain, means he's immune to rain effects. So if there's a torrential rain on his row, he's immune, which is really nice. So although Commander's Horn is better for him, with 6 strength he would go up to 12, whereas Mushroom would only take him to 10. If there's a torrential rain on his row, Mushrooms are really effective. So for all the siege units that we've seen so far, Mushrooms seem really good, especially if you combine them with the fact of a torrential rain on that row using Skellige Storm or something. We've got Priestess of Freya, 0 strength, Mushroom's really good. We've got Blueboy Lugosi, 4 strength, will go down to 1, but then bump back up to 5. You know, we've got the Armorsmith, bump down to 1, buff back up to 5. So we've got a lot of siege units which could work quite well with Mushrooms. This Pirate Captain wouldn't go down, it'd just get buffed up to 10. So this deck might be good if the opponent has quite a bit of siege. You can sort of negate that problem with yourself and you can kind of go a bit weathery on them. But there's plenty more cards we're going to have to discuss before that's the strategy. But it's just seemingly that's what it's appearing to be. You can start ruining your own siege row and you'll sort of, you know, get more benefit out of it. Skellige did used to have a card where you only took half the weather effects. From weather effects, so half the reduction, should I say. So they might be that kind of way inclined. Right, a hero card, 8 strength, Coral. She is a siege unit again, but it doesn't matter because she's hero. And she's got another medic ability, which is even different. Okay, it's called Decompression subcategory. When played, take any non-hero unit card or special card from your graveyard and play it instantly. So that's so powerful. Special cards, that'd be like the Skellige Storm, it'd be like Scorch, Commander's Horn. You know, if you play her on like round 3, you've got quite a bit of options left, providing you've used them. So she could be quite powerful. Oh, and 8 strength is pretty good. But discarded when removed from the battlefield. So I think when she's removed, I think it's talking about her, or it might be the non-hero unit card that you pull out. But either way, I'm pretty sure discarded means banished from the game. Because otherwise they wouldn't mention it. Because obviously you put it into the graveyard when it's removed from the battlefield. So I'm pretty sure it means whatever you pull out, or possibly her, when that thing is removed, it's disappeared completely. It wouldn't make any sense with her. She is a hero. So actually, it would sound like the non-hero unit card or the special card you play gets removed from the game completely after it's finished its intended use. So you want to be careful about using that person on Clan and Crate Warrior, unless it's round 3. But even if it is round 3 and they scorch it, and you've got another medic, you wouldn't be able to play him again. And it's so powerful for Clan and Crate Warriors to be played again and again and again. So be careful about using this lady. That's probably the downside, is that the card that you choose gets removed from the board, removed from play completely. But you could always like bring out the first card we saw, Priestess of Freya, with 0 strength, and then chain her medic ability to pull out the Cran and Crate Warrior. So the Priestess of Freya will get removed from the board completely, but the Cran and Crate Warrior still go into the graveyard. So you could do a little bit of workaround to work around that issue of banishing the card when it's removed. So that's really nice. I do like that. Very strong ability there, because you can get a special card too. Okay, we've got ourselves Dena and Hindar. Okay, I have no idea how to pronounce it, but whatever. 8 strength character. 8 strength is pretty good, but he's a spy. So it is going to go on the opponent's side. So 8 strength is about average, to be honest. He's a melee, and his spy is the diplomat subset, which means you draw 1 card from your deck to your hand, and 1 card from your deck to your graveyard. Again, you can sort of see, you may think, oh, I think everyone's first initial reaction is, your graveyard. You can see how that could be pretty good. You don't get to choose. It'd probably be a spy you want to play after all your other spies to make sure you don't lose the card that you want. But yeah, so it goes into the graveyard. If it's Clan and Cray Warrior, that's really good. Then you medic him out, and he's already started off with 12 strength. So there is a strategy for that, and I really like how they've implemented that into Skellige, and that's really useful for Skellige. So it's not just a random effect, it's really interesting. One card for your hand and one card to your graveyard, which you could medic out. I mean, it's possible that it could be a bad thing, like a Scorch, or it could be like a hero card, like Ceres. That would be really annoying. So that's why you make him sort of one of the last spies you play, if possible, so you make sure you don't lose anything. You wouldn't have gained anything else anyway. Okay, the next card, you may have seen this card already. It's Morkvarg, but 8 strength character. Again, 8 strength is pretty decent. It's a siege unit. 8 strength is reasonable. Commander's Horn worthy. However, his Death Wish is he returns to the battlefield after each time he gets removed. So if they scorch him, he's a pretty good one to defend people. We haven't seen too many 8s, you know, apart from some other characters. So he'd be pretty good to defend some medium level things. And when he gets scorched, he gets returned to the battlefield with -2 strength. So then he'd be 6. And then at the end of the round, he'd be 4. Then at the end of the round, again, he'd be 2. And, you know, so then he is kind of Commander's Horn worthy, but if he gets removed, or if just the natural state of the play, you play him turn 1 and he gets brought back, he'll be 4 strength. And so mushrooms start to still be quite effective for him, especially if he gets scorched, then he'll be on 2, so, you know, it starts to really do well for mushrooms, even though he looks like a thing. And he is siege, so far we're getting a good siege mushroom combo. And don't forget, guys, really, the developers did state they wanted mushrooms, Marjoreems, to have a special effect with still berserkers and stuff. They wanted still that kind of interaction. So mushrooms seem to be really, really good with Skellige. So it's not just as simple as all these. They seem to be working quite well for mushrooms so far, but you still got all these special berserker interactions that we haven't seen yet, and hopefully they're really good because they were really powerful in the old games. Okay, we've got 2 character cards now, and basically they're kind of a muster ability of each. You play one, it plays the other. If you get the other one, it plays that one. So Olaf the Bear, 9 strength character. He's a melee card, and he's got the Predator style unit thing.
You son of a bitch.
Which is really weird. I discussed this a while ago. I don't really feel that needs to be there. We've already got an icon, a symbol for drawing one card which is different to this one, and that's the stack of cards with one card coming off it. But anyway, the muster ability is when played, it plays Vabjorn from your deck or hand. So 9 strength is pretty good. He's definitely a Commander's Horn worthy character, but that's a choice you make when you choose what character card you want. And Vabjorn again is a 9 strength character card. He's a melee card as well. He's got the Predator icon. And when you play this character, he musters Olaf the Bear from your deck and hand. So really, it's like a dual. It's just 2 character cards you can put in to get a nice 18 strength on the board straight away. But I really do have a problem with that. Even though the icon is so amazing, they should definitely use that one. I really like the Predator idea. But it doesn't need to be there. It's like they're putting so many icons in that don't have any form of, you know, I don't know, man. It seems like they're putting a new icon for every time a muster has a different subset, every time a spy has a different subset, every time a medic has a little bit of a different subset, and it's a bit odd, really. But maybe that's the way they're going, in which case I'll have to rethink my whole idea of what the icons actually mean. You'll have to memorize a lot more icons. So our last hero, you may have seen him before, 15 strength melee hero card, Hjalmar. I think it's probably going to be like Hjalmar, I'm guessing, H probably silent. 15 strength, so he's the same as Geralt Swordmaster, which is like the Geralt from Witcher 3. That's the choice you've got to make, really. Is 15 strength just going to win? Sometimes, I mean, it was pretty good to take some just high strength cards sometimes. So you can just kind of like not have to deal with all the enemy's shit. It is 15 strength, deal with it. So that's it for the Skellige deck. It's shaping up to be a very medic heavy, mushroom looking heavy deck. We saw quite a few character cards. like a dual combo with Olaf and Babjorn. We've got some Morkvarg, some other spies and stuff. So some nice choices, and we could pull special cards out of our graveyard, which is, you know, really impressive with one of the hero cards. So looking pretty good. I did like Skellige a lot in The Witcher 3, but they seem to have lost a little bit of strategy revolving, shuffling cards back into the deck so you can use different muster abilities. But we did have the Queen's Guard and Ceri's muster ability double play that we spoke of, which is really nice. But they do seem to have a lot of things to do with rain as well. Immune to rain, that's the only card I've ever seen with that. So it might be about sacrificing your own back row but negating the reduction you get. I bet we're going to have a hero card where he only gets half reduction from weather effects. That was one of King Bran in Witcher 3. Would only take half reduction. So yeah, interesting deck. I really like it. Let me know what you think, and stay tuned. We'll do a different faction tomorrow. I'm not sure which one. I'll have a look which one's got the most interesting cards. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.